Imagine showing up at an ordinary suburban house to pick up your 4-year-old son from his very first school playdate, only to have a complete stranger open the door. This is the nightmare that kicks off for Marissa Irvine, a poised, wealthy solicitor with glossy chestnut hair and a life that looks perfect from the outside. She arrives at 14 Tudor Grove to collect her son, Milo, expecting to meet Jenny Kennedy, a fellow mother she recently bonded with. Instead, the door is answered by Esther, a warm, older woman with a mass of untamed curls who has lived there for years and has no idea who Marissa or Milo are. Panic immediately sets in. Marissa checks her phone. She has the right address, explicitly texted to her by Jenny. But when Esther helps Marissa call the real Jenny, an anxious, strawberry-blonde, guilt-ridden working mother currently on a business trip in France, the horrifying truth drops like a stone. Jenny never arranged a playdate. Her son is safely at another friend's house. The text was a meticulously planned fake. Milo is missing. The police are quickly brought in, led by the sharp, gray-eyed Detective Sergeant McConville and her lanky, eager partner, Garda Breen. They gather at Marissa's sprawling, luxurious home, alongside her husband, Peter, a handsome, commanding, and wealthy investment broker who desperately tries to take charge of the spiraling situation. The investigation immediately zeroes in on Cary Glen National School. The teacher confirms that Milo was picked up not by a stranger, but by a known childminder. It wasn't Marissa's au pair, Anna. It was Carrie Finch, Jenny Kennedy's live-in nanny. Carrie is described as a quiet, mousy young woman with pale skin and straggly red hair, typically hiding behind oversized check shirts. Jenny, drowning in guilt for bringing this woman into their lives, is horrified to learn that everything Carrie ever told her was a lie. Her glowing references were faked. Her tragic backstory of dead parents and brothers in America was entirely lifted from an American television drama. Carrie's real name is Caroline Murphy. Her mother, Irene Turner, a hardened, bleached blonde, opportunistic woman who cares more about selling her story to the tabloids than her daughter's whereabouts, hasn't seen her in 9 years. Carrie's father is Rob Murphy, a hardened career criminal living in London, and her ex-boyfriend is Kyle Bird, a recently released convict. As the nationwide hunt intensifies, Marissa's world is anchored by the men in her lives: her fiercely protective husband Peter, his quiet, waxy-faced, and awkward brother Brian, and her law partner Colin Dobson, a tall, ruddy-cheeked, bumbling but well-meaning friend. But the search takes a dark turn when a man is spotted dumping Milo's beloved dinosaur raincoat over the edge of Killenny Hill, a rocky drop into the sea. The police deduce that Carrie is not working alone. A man is helping her, and this dropped coat might be a grim decoy. Then a miraculous break occurs. In the dead of night, a newspaper delivery man spots a child asleep in a rented car in the affluent suburb of Sandymount. It is Milo. He is physically unharmed, though his signature bright blonde hair has been hastily dyed brown. Reunited with his weeping parents, Milo innocently reveals chilling details about his captivity. He was kept in a red brick bungalow with no stairs. Carrie told him his parents had died, and she was taking him on a long journey. A man in a ski mask had transported him to the car, mysteriously reassuring him with a very specific, familiar pet name. "Don't cry, Milo Mouse, it's going to be okay." The relief of Milo's return is almost instantly shattered by a string of gruesome discoveries. The police locate the Sandymount bungalow and find Carrie dead, suffocated with a pillow in her sleep. The wigs, passports, and colored contacts scattered around the house indicate she was preparing to flee the country under a false identity, taking Milo with her as her own child. Shortly after, the police identify a dismembered body found in a North City flat as Kyle Bird, Carrie's ex-boyfriend. The web of deceit grows impossibly tangled when Colin Dobson, Marissa's goofy law partner, is found shot dead in an industrial estate alongside Rob Murphy, Carrie's criminal father. The police theory is that Colin and Rob had a shootout over ransom money, but Marissa is reeling. Why would Colin be involved? Digging into her firm's files, Marissa uncovers a shocking secret. Colin had been systematically embezzling hundreds of thousands of euros from their wealthy clients. But even more devastating is a photograph Marissa's sister-in-law stumbles upon online. In the background of a random bar photo, Colin is seen looking utterly lovesick across the table from a glamorous, heavily made-up woman with glossy auburn hair. It is Carrie, using the alias Lena. Colin had unwittingly fallen for the kidnapper, and during their dates he had bumbled away intimate details about Marissa's wealth, her home's layout, and Milo's routines. For a brief moment, Marissa believes this explains everything. Carrie targeted Colin to gather intel, kidnapped Milo for money, and it all ended in a bloody standoff between thieves. But the pieces do not quite fit. Why was there never a ransom demand? Why did the masked man call Milo Milo Max, a pet name used only by Peter? the truth crashes down during a tense, suffocating confrontation between Marissa and Peter in their living room. Peter, maintaining an eerie, serene composure, finally confesses to the unthinkable. The nightmare did not begin with a fake text message. It began 4 years ago on an icy, treacherous road. Peter revealed that when Milo was a newborn, he and Marissa had a horrific, near-fatal car accident. Marissa was rendered comatose, requiring weeks of intensive care and facial reconstruction. The driver of the other car was also knocked into a coma. That driver was Carrie. In the twisted metal of the wreckage, Peter checked on his infant son. His baby was dead. Hearing the cry of a surviving infant from Carrie's mangled car, a grief-stricken, panicking Peter made a split-second, monstrous decision. He took Carrie's surviving baby and swapped him with his own deceased child. When the paramedics arrived, Peter held Carrie's son, and the authorities simply assumed the living child was an Irvine. Peter paid Carrie off through a legal loophole, making her believe the crash and her baby's death were her fault, driving her to flee to London in a haze of guilt and grief. But months before the kidnapping, Carrie spotted Peter and Milo at a local playground. She engaged the boy in conversation and noticed something incredible. Milo had synesthesia, a rare genetic condition causing him to associate words and days with specific colors. Carrie had the exact same rare condition. Looking closely at the boy's dimpled chin and crooked smile, mirroring her ex-boyfriend Kyle's, she realized the horrifying truth. Peter Irvine had stolen her baby. When Peter threatened her to stay away, Carrie meticulously plotted to take her biological son back. She infiltrated Jenny's house to get close to the school, recruited her father Rob and her ex Kyle, and fabricated the playdate to snatch Milo. But Peter, ever the ruthless protector of the perfect life he had built, figured it out. He tracked Carrie to the Sandymount bungalow using a forged rental reference she had carelessly printed at Colin's office. He slipped into the bungalow, suffocated the sleeping Carrie, and took Milo away, whispering Milo Mouse to quiet him in the dark. Knowing Rob Murphy would come looking for vengeance and blackmail money, Peter masterminded a flawless cover-up. He used his knowledge of Colin's embezzlement to blackmail his bumbling law partner, forcing Colin to deliver a bag of cash to the industrial estate. He knew Rob Murphy would ambush and kill Colin. Hiding in the shadows, Peter waited for Rob to shoot Colin, then stepped out and shot Rob dead with Carrie's gun, wiping his prints and leaving the weapon to make it look like a mutual shootout. Peter delivers this confession with chilling pride, believing he is the ultimate protector of their family. He assures Marissa that with everyone who knew the truth now dead, they can finally live in peace. He threatens that if she goes to the police, the authorities will take Milo, Carrie's biological son, away and place him in the foster system. Marissa Lemou's the only child she has ever known. Marissa is paralyzed by grief, revulsion, and an impossible choice. She is living with a monster who stole a grieving mother's baby and murdered multiple people to cover it up. But the thought of losing Milo is a fate worse than death. As Peter smiles, pouring them both a glass of wine to celebrate their safety, Marissa silently dials Detective Sergeant McConville's number on her phone, leaving the line open to listen. But as Peter spins his web, she disconnects the call. For Milo, she realizes, she is willing to do anything. The narrative leaps forward 6 months to the sun-drenched coast of Marbella, Spain. A news article reports the sudden, tragic death of well-known Irish businessman Peter Irvine. While cooking a meal in his holiday apartment, Peter suffered a severe, fatal anaphylactic shock. The meal contained a stock cube laced with traces of shellfish, an ingredient Peter was deathly allergic to. His wife Marissa, who reportedly could not read the Spanish packaging, tragically failed to locate his EpiPen in time to save him. The article notes Marissa's heartbreak, but includes a brief, chillingly calm statement from the grieving widow. She expresses her gratitude to the emergency services and finds solace in one undeniable fact. Her beloved son, Milo, was safely back home in Dublin, completely shielded from the tragedy. Marissa has delivered her own brand of ruthless justice, punishing the man who destroyed so many lives, while ensuring that the little boy she loves remains exactly where he belongs, with her, forever.